Hello, everyone. Welcome to the post-match review for Bournemouth versus Manchester United. Yet again, another shaky, disappointing performance where we're lucky to get anything out of it. Absolutely awful. One win in 7 for Manchester United. No way near good enough. Lucky to get a pen. Lucky to not even concede one near the end. It almost felt like it was inevitable that we would lose it in kind of the last minute. But just a really disappointing performance. I'm just like, I'm done with this team. Honestly, I'm not going to go mad or just go think I'm just fucking bored and done with this team. But I'll let you lads speak because I'm ranting at that TV for the full 90 minutes, just inexplicably, just so annoyed with the way we're performing at the minute. Talk to me about that, Adam. What you thought?
I mean, the game kicks off and you're thinking we're up for it, like, especially given that we're the later kickoff, knowing the Spurs result going into it, Newcastle on our heels as well. You need the 3 points. If you ever want a chance to maybe get back up there, and we've had that chance multiple times in the last number of weeks we had to actually close that gap. But the truth is, we haven't. And again, today was the same. We didn't look up for it from the start. And Bournemouth, shot after shot, that first half, they break away, get that first goal, Solanke. I know the pitch was in very, very bad condition, but that's no excuse because it's that way for both teams at the end of the day as well. And we just never really looked up for it at all, did we?
Yeah.
No. We got that BRUNO goal, and to be fair, lucky goal the way it bounced up and he hits it okay, he hits it well, finishes it well. But we didn't offer anything, and I know we'll get into stats later on, but like when you look at them, it's a telling story. Again, over 20 shots conceded as well. The most we've ever conceded in, I think, the Premier League era is like 560 something, or it could be in the 70s at this point.
Yeah.
It's shocking, and it's the same every week. We know what to expect, and it feels like a chore watching us right now. It does, honestly.
Yeah, it really does. Sam, we can bring up all the stats and data and individual analysis and all that kind of stuff. But if we're just going to call a spade, the football is fucking terrible, isn't it?
Yeah, we just talked about it off camera then with setting up. The system's fucked. The system's broken. Like, whatever system, style, etc. he's trying to do, it doesn't work. Like, it doesn't work. We've seen it. We're conceding 25, 30 shots a game. We're getting outplayed by the likes of Luton and Bournemouth. No offence to Bournemouth, no offence to Luton, but we should be beating these teams with the money we spent, with the players that we have. We should be putting these teams away. Like, if you come up against City or Liverpool, it's like, all right, fair enough. Some of the best teams in Europe, but Luton, Bournemouth, Brentford, all outplayed us, all looked better, all looked like they were prime Champions League teams against us. Just looked fucking ridiculous. And the system's broken, man. It doesn't work. And Ten Hag is going to hang himself with his own rope because he's playing the system. We can all see it doesn't work. The players are obviously know it doesn't work because you can see it in their play. The opposition knows it doesn't work because they're outplaying us and exposing us. And I don't see why the manager's not addressing it. I don't get it. I don't understand why he's not going, I need to change something here. And he's just going to end up sacking himself because he just keeps continuing on with it every single game. So until he addresses that, or he gets sacked, that's the only way it's going to change. And I think the sacking's probably coming more likely than the other things. So that's where we're at.
Adam, why is it every single United fan can see it? Every rival fan can see it. Teams target it on a consistent basis, like we've seen, especially this year so far. Why can't Erik ten Hag see it? Why is he not making adjustments, tactical adjustments in game, or just before a game, or just staying stubborn with this style when it is so clearly not working?
I don't know if it's a case of like we've seen it in the early days of certain managers like Arteta and Klopp, that he wants to stick with the same system even if it doesn't, get the results that it needs right away. Whether he's stubborn like that, he seems like a very stubborn sort of guy, and it's in his sort of personality as well. We've seen that when he falls out with a player, he'll be strict with them that way. And I presume it's the same way with how we play. But we've seen it in the early days in his first 2-3 games. He decided to tear it up, play it a different way. And look what happened last season. We actually, I think, overperformed, we did. And we were actually playing all right football at points last season as well. I don't know if he's kind of gone back, kind of reassess that, try and rework it. But it's clear it's not working. And you can see the players. aren't up for it as well. That gap, we were talking before we came on camera, we had to play a bit of a deeper line because we have a slower defence and it's not a starting back line. Back line we have is 2 right backs as full backs, an academy graduate, Maguire, who was, I suppose, we all ruled out the team since Eric Ten Hag has come in. But injuries do play a part, but I'm sick of kind of using that excuse now because we've had all year to implement the system for every player. Every player has to be coached this way, and including the young players coming through. The younger players coming through seem to get it, but it's, I suppose, these older players, senior players who are in the team, and they're not sort of performing that well. I don't know if it's a case of you can't teach an old dog new tricks per se, but like the manager, he should be tweaking something. He should realize that he's in, I suppose, what would the word be? He's fighting for his life and he's fighting for his position. Here he is.
That's why I think when you're in that position, you do switch it up. That's more to the point, innit? Like why you should at least tweak or try something, because you must know if you're 2 points ahead of West Ham and level with Newcastle, who've had their own injury problems, by this point in the season, something's gone fucking wrong. So something needs changing. That's what I don't get. It's mind-boggling to me how he's still staying with it. You're seeing the same issues every single week. Casemiro looking like an elderly person in the middle of the park, not having a fucking Scooby-Doo what's going on. Change it. Tweak it. Try something different, because it's just,
Do you think it's a case of perhaps he's been told that his job isn't on the line? That's the only way I can actually think of it.
I don't know.
Because
I don't know. And he's
any
just going,
sane person would tweak it.
Yeah, let's just play end-to-end FIFA football, because I'm just gonna go on a mad one on the way out. I have no idea. There is no logic to what he's doing, or the players on the pitch.
I've said it as well. There's the system. And I use the term loosely because I don't know what the fuck it is. The system is inherently reliant on certain players being available. Sandro Martinez, Luke Shaw, people like that. They have been available for pretty much all season. So if your system is heavily reliant on specific players being available and they aren't available for most of the season, you have to change the system. Because this is not like the system that Klopp's play, or like Adam mentioned Arteta and stuff, where the players fit into the system. So a player can drop out here, or you can take a player out and put another one in. Pep, for example, it doesn't matter who he drops, the players play the same way. Who was the team that were playing the youth system? It's basically their youth players, and they played us off the park. Is it Newcastle?
Newcastle.
They had their C team, didn't they? There was a bunch of players that nobody ever, and they looked organised. They looked like they knew the system that they were playing, and they played to that system. Our players don't do that because it's inherently reliant on certain players. So when they drop out, you're fucked. And I think that's a flaw. Like Ten Hag needs to find a system that works no matter who comes in and who comes out, and it's fully rigid in the fact that you get players that fit into that system rather than buying players and building a system around players. And that's where we've gone wrong last summer, because he's been given far too much power. In some ways, it's understandable, because you saw the people who were above him, Richard Arnold and John Murtough, who's now left the club, are fucking useless. So Ten Hag has probably felt it's on him, and he's like, I'm going to have to take care of this because they're fucking shite. But he's been given too much power, and he's brought in players that have not worked. Why was Mason Mount brought in? I like the guy, but why? I don't know why he's here. It's baffling. Anthony, don't understand it. So there's so many issues, and you have to adapt. And we're at this point now. There's 6 games of the season. Change the system, man. Go deep, counter, set yourselves up. Like, do something else. Just do something else, please. Just show us that you're aware of what the issues are. That's all I'm asking for at this point.
For me, where the big issue comes in is utter confusion on the pitch. Not one of them have a clue or are in sync with the amount of times I've seen Højlund screaming for the ball
no communication
in the 18-yard box. The amount of times where I saw Onana and Bruno bickering whether to play it out from the back or whether to go long. Onana keeping hold of it for long periods of spell. Like, I'm just like, why are you sat on it just keeping hold of it? Like, I get like maybe you're trying to draw him onto you, but then that's where the goal kind of creates from, because he's on it for ages, gives it out. Garnacho loses it like stupidly. Camboala falls on his ass. We defend like a bunch of toddlers, and then we're incapable of defending at the moment. That's another massive issue as well. Let alone the midfield, let alone fucking scoring goals is probably the only thing at the minute that we're okay at, and that's because of how chaotic it is in the game. That's the only reason why we score, or a bit of luck in today's case.
I don't want to interrupt Adam, but there's moments where Camboala was looking around for instruction of where he needed to be, and nobody was telling him anything. Maguire, as a fucking former captain, as experienced player, should be marshalling that defence and telling Camboala where he needs to be.
That's coaching as well, though, Sam.
Yeah. But like, he's just looking around going, I don't like, and you're like, for fuck's sake, man, this is basic. Know where you need to be. Know what players you need to be marking. Know where you need to be stood when certain, like, it's unbelievable. Like, the amount, like you said, disorganisation. It's ridiculous. Fucking ridiculous.
Sorry, Adam, I thought you was going to go in then. I've got some stats from Casemiro. I'll read out and then just come back up there. Casemiro's game by numbers versus Bournemouth: 82% pass accuracy, 59 out of 72 passes completed, 19 times possession lost, 3 out of 6 tackles won, 3 clearances, 1 out of 3 dribbles completed. I mean, them stats make his performance look better than what it was, but I don't know what you was going to go on to then, Adam, but talk to me about wherever it was, and also just touch on Casemiro, because he's had one of the biggest drop-offs I've ever seen in a player.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen a drop-off bigger than this, because last season he was up there with our player of the season. Did he win it, actually? I'm trying to remember who won our player of the year last year. Yeah, I think it might have been Lissandro, actually, but he was up there with the top 3, and the performances he was putting in, big game performances in the finals, in all
goals,
this. And
scoring goals.
Yeah, exactly. He was coming up with clutch goals as well. I remember at Chelsea, the Carabao Cup final, all these sort of games. He was popping up, performing well, and he wasn't even missed time in tackles or anything. And he was actually, I know it sounds a bit crazy now considering he had 2 or 3 reds, but his discipline was a lot better back then in terms of not getting yellow cards, stupid yellow cards. But that seemed to have crept into his game now. Everybody before the game, it's like playing Casemiro roulette. What minute will he get the yellow card in? It's a nailed-on yellow card. And I don't know if he got it today. I can't remember. No. But one example that kind of stood out for me today was a simple pass into the midfield. He was right on, I suppose, the centre circle. And he, I don't know how he took the touch, honestly. You'd expect to see it from a 2 or 3-year-old. He just loses it. He does. Simple. And it wasn't even drilled into him or anything. It was a simple pass right into his feet, and he screws it up. It seems like his head isn't there right now. I don't know if it's that, but his legs aren't either. And I know his legs haven't been really part of his game in the last maybe 2-3 years, especially when he was at Madrid as well. But I suppose his mind of knowing where the ball's going to go, when to time a tackle and this, but that's gone now. And we'd be lucky to get even half, not even half, a third of what we paid for him. And that's only after 2 years, which is absolutely shocking. And that's why the recruiting needs to improve. And the only issue is, I suppose it's one of those last kind of Glazer signings where it's panic buy, because that's all he was at the end of the day. If we were going for a Frankie de Jong, we didn't get that. We got Casemiro in. The manager was offered him. And all the reports now have come out that Madrid were licking their lips when they heard, 70 million we paid for him? Something like that. It seems crazy. And the other point I was going to make, Camboala, for that second goal, all this responsibility is put on this young lad, but Dallo as well. A lot of question marks had to be on Dallo for that position. And as he pointed out as well, Maguire, you have to be taking this young player under your wing, you do, because of course he isn't going to be, I suppose, fully clicked into the Premier League, because he's only been thrown in there in the last 2-3 games as well, I suppose, where he's got the majority of his minutes. But I am worried just in terms of the defence, and this fella is going to be scapegoated as well. We've seen it in the fan base. They do it as well a lot of the time, and a young player can get easily destroyed his confidence like that. So he's a good player, he is, but again, he needs to be coached right, and he needs to be taken under players' wings, and they're not doing that. They seem to have just, I suppose, drop tools.
Once again, Sam, Champions League football. I mean, I didn't think it was possible, probably after the Fulham game anyway, but 10 points off Spurs and Villa now. I know Villa play Arsenal tomorrow, but 7 games left of the season. it's gone on it. Both European football as a whole. Do you think? Or just what's your thoughts on that?
I think maybe we get Conference League at this rate. Might be Conference League football, which fills me with absolute joy playing Azerbaijani FC on a fucking Thursday night. Like that, can't wait for that shit. It's really funny as well because if we'd won the games where we've chucked games away, like the Brentford game, like the Fulham game, like the Bournemouth game today, and the Chelsea game, the way Spurs are going, you probably could have caught them. You probably could have had them like within 1.2 points. You probably could have had them because
Fulham, Brentford, Chelsea,
and Bournemouth today win.
Yeah,
there you go. And it's just like, and because Spurs are just chucking shit out now, aren't they? They're just collapsing at the end of the season. And it's like you could have had that 5th spot and put yourself in the thing, but no, it's just continuously shit performances. And like the last minute penalty claim by Bournemouth, I was like, here we go again. So how many penalties how many stupid tackles, not just penalties, how many stupid tackles are we going to give away in injury time on the edge of our box or penalties and just hand the game to the opposition? It's happened in like 3 games previous to this. It's ridiculous. Like, why do we have zero composure? Why can we not go, it's a 2-2 draw, or we're winning here 3-2 or 4-3? Let's just shut this shit down. Let's just shut it down. Do some shit house for it. Put it in the corner. Pretend like I'm tying my lace. Onana fall on the ball. Just do something. Just kill the game. And we just go no panic and just give the game away. And I was just like, we would have deserved to lose that game the way we played. I honestly thought this penalty, and I'm like, we're going to lose, and that'll be it. And it's fully deserved. Absolutely fully deserved. It's fucking ridiculous, man.
There's a quote from Eric Ten Hag that's just come out saying, we have a team that is resilient and has character. Twice we came back from losing positions. It's kind of like missing the point, though, isn't it? It's kind of like just discussing the deer in the corner when there's an elephant in the room. Like, we deserve to lose against Bournemouth. It doesn't matter whether you have resilience and character. Like, no one gives a shit about that when you're constantly drawing games or losing games against Fulham. No one gives a shit about that. Like,
Eric, why have we had to come back and fight back into the game? Because we're so shite, we're conceding goals, you dickhead. That's why.
At the Butlins Stadium as well, of all places, Bournemouth away. Like, look, Bournemouth have been okay all season, but look, Bournemouth deserved to win that, and if they would have won that, they would have gone 5 points behind us in the league. That tells you absolutely everything you need to know about this team. Adam, we've got to discuss. I'm going to get onto Bruno because that's probably one of the only positives coming away from this game. I definitely want to talk about that. But the manager right now, what are you doing with him? Because I will debate this until the cows come home. I'm sick of this manager now. I'm done with it. Like, but you have your say. You go for it.
I think, look, if the decision were made from me, I suppose, like looking at the options that are on the board, there's nobody else I think I'd rather have right now. There's no names like that's calling me. Like, oh, we want him. He'll be a bit of an improvement. And I know there's like Nagelsmann here, but I think we'd be in the same position after a couple of years. He couldn't hack it at Bayern Munich as well. And look what's happened. But all these reports of Gareth Southgate, I can't be dealing with that.
I'm not necessarily suggesting Southgate because I get the kind of thing that comes with that. But I'm saying, like, this ain't sustainable. You can't keep playing football like this. So what do we do? Do we just wait for the right person to appear and then just regress until we get to like 12th, 13th, 14th? Like, what are we doing?
I don't know if it's a case where they've written off this season. The season should be. I know we have stuff to fight for, whether they've thrown all their eggs in the basket for the FA Cup. We end with an FA Cup.
Coventry beat us. Playing like this. Coventry beat us.
Coventry could definitely beat us.
Yeah. And it is a worry. But I'd still probably would stick with the manager as well, as crazy as it sounds and as deluded, because I just don't think there's any better option right now. And he has 1 year left on his deal. If there's no clear sign of improvement, like, why sack a man and have to, I suppose, pay him, 10 million, 5 to 10 million, given our, I suppose, financial status right now. It's not really the best. Why do that when there's no, I suppose, name screaming there? It's not like, okay, if you have a short-term manager coming in, somebody like, just say Carlo Ancelotti came. I know it's a random shout and that, but if he was available there, you bring him in maybe a year or 2, 3 years. and then maybe somebody else comes up available. But there isn't anybody like that, like for a short term as well. And then Ineos strike me as the type that they'll be planning long term to do. And like this manager, he has improved. Like as bad as it sounds, we have had positive signs in the season. Like the young players in particular, Kobe Mainoo's breakthrough, like Erik ten Hag has kind of seen that quality from an early stage, has identified that, and he's brought him in. He's performed well. But Shivy makes a good point in the comments section as well. With the system that we're playing, that players like Kobe Mainoo will be, I suppose you're going to see a drop in confidence from them because it's not suiting them.
You look at Kobe today and you look at Ahmad when he came on as well.
Yeah.
Can you imagine in a controlled system, possession-based, where the structure's right, them two in particular, and there's a couple of others as well, who would really, really flourish. But when it's every man for himself, let the fucking, like the greyhound racing when you just let the dogs out and they just fucking scatter, like, that's what it's like. That's what the football's like. It's just scattered everywhere. There's no control whatsoever. No. And that's why it ain't sustainable. And that's why I don't, sorry to interject again, sorry. It's just stressing the life out of me. I don't understand how Ineos or people who follow United can sit and watch performances like today and still believe in the project. I'm sorry, I can't.
No, that's a fair point to make. It is. There's a lot of question marks now. I don't know where we go from here in the league. I don't know if it's been rid off. But like they have to be planning something. I'm sure they have it in the back of their head. Somebody who would come in and replace. There's Potter is after. I suppose he turned down the Ajax job there a week ago, was it?
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's waiting in the wings to see in the summer what's the story going on here. But just the fact that I don't think there's anybody out there that excites me. I suppose like if Erik ten Hag, okay, forget everything that he's the manager now. If he was there, available, he'd probably be somebody that we go for, just on paper, looking at that. But obviously it's come in, it hasn't worked out. But I just want to see how everything is when we have a few more players, particularly back from injury, under the new ownership. He has that 1 year. I don't know if it's a case of he's been told, okay, you have a year, no matter what the attention is, you have that time, but just go and prove yourself, prove your worth. And look, we can let him go then at the end of next season or even halfway through and we don't have to pay out as much. And then we get somebody in because I don't think there's any names right now that are screaming, oh yeah, I want him. I know Liverpool targeting the Sporting Lisbon manager, but like he has a big release clause. That's the only thing as well. So they'd be paying quite a bit out for him. And I don't think I'd go for somebody like that. So I'm currently the manager in. I just believe there's a load of players there, passengers who shouldn't be there. I'm not saying he is without fault or it isn't his fault as well. Because, of course, a lot of it is his fault. He sets the team up like that. I see positive signs here, there, little bits. But the clear drop, particularly squad depth as well, when injuries occur, isn't good enough. And it should be a coaching thing where every player knows how to play this system, but they don't.
Sam, just before you give your take on this, I'm just going to give you this stat just to kind of push you a little bit. Man United concede 17.8 shots per 90 minutes in the Premier League this season. This is now the most of any club in the division. Just let that sink in, but go ahead.
That's fucking awful, isn't it? That is fucking abysmal. What was the stat, Adam? How many shots this season? 500 and what?
Last time I checked was
560.
565. It must be on the edge of 600 now. I'd say 580.
I think I'm at the point like Adam's. I agree with a lot of Adam's points. There isn't anybody where I'd be like, that's the guy. That's the guy there. Julian Nagelsmann's probably the top of the list for me. I would be like, that's probably a dude I can get behind. But he is taking Germany to the Euros, so he would not be available till July, and you're already behind then. Like you're already behind setting up your team, players, transfers, all that kind of stuff. So that's an issue. I don't want Southgate. I don't want Potter. De Zerbi is exciting, sure, but he's not proved anything yet. Like, he's done well with Brighton, but he's not proved anything yet. So I'm like, what's that? And then you're looking at, what Klopp's technically available, but he's never come to United. Xavi is available, but he's managed at Barca, and that's kind of it. Does he want to come to? I don't know. So you're kind of stuck with who it is, and I think there's a lot of issues at Manchester United. Injuries are obviously one thing, but I think all managers have injuries. You have to deal with it, and you have to develop. You've had the player scrutiny outside, Greenwood, Ronaldo, Rashford, Anthony, all of that shit. New players trying to adapt to a system that's not working. But then I think the manager on the same side has to take accountability. His system doesn't work. The way he's trying to play isn't working. The players are clearly not working. He needs to take accountability, and coming out and saying things like this where it's like, we played well, or the system's working, conceding however many shots is not a problem. Like, it's fine. It's like, it's not fine. Like, it's costing you games. If he came out and said something, then I would be willing to give him a bit more time. If he came out and was like, oh, yeah, we know it's a problem. We're trying to work on it. We will rectify this, but we are working on it. But he's going, no, it's fine. Everything's fine. It's that dog meme, innit? No one is sat in the house and the house is on fire behind him. And it's like, everything's fine. It's just like, it's not. Fucking things are burning here. So it's just, I don't know where we go. It would not surprise me if they sacked him, but it would not surprise me if he's still here next season.
Would you sack him?
Me personally, I wouldn't, because I don't know who I would go for. And I don't think
But then how long does that last for?
Well,
because what if we're 14th? Are you going to still keep saying that?
I hope then I hope if they haven't already, I hope they are now talking to managers, prospective managers. If they haven't been already, I hope they're talking to prospective managers going, if this goes tits up, are you available? What would you want to do? What's your system? Blah, blah, blah. I hope they're talking, having these talks. And I believe that all clubs should do this. I believe all clubs should always have managers on the back burner that if things do go wrong, they can pivot to. I'm sure Liverpool have been doing it for the last couple of years, knowing that Klopp could leave. I'm sure City are doing it because Pep's probably not going to be here for another 5 years, is he? He's probably going to be gone at some point. So I'm hoping those conversations are happening. And if it does go tits up, they have that ready to go and they pull the trigger. But it's the same thing, isn't it? Again, we sack a manager, we go to somebody else, they do well the first year and they fuck up in the second year and we sack and then we repeat. It's like, how long are we going to do this for? Like, how long?
I suppose that the difficulty of it is whatever route you want to take. If you want to stick with Ten Hag,
we're fucked either way. Like,
it's gonna take a while. All these teething issues. I mean, it's gone way past teething issues anyway.
But sorry, Nick. And one more point. If you do bring a new manager in, say, let's for argument's sake, let's just say Nagelsmann comes in, he's gonna want players, so you're gonna have to bring new players in. He's then going to have to try and adapt to the players that we've got when a new players into a new system and his style of play. There's going to be teething problems. He's going to take time. So he's going to need a season, 2 seasons to adapt, change, blah, tweak, blah, blah. And then how long before the fans get on his back and go, this ain't working, get rid of him, blah, blah. And the cycle just continues. It just never stops. It just never ends. And I'm not saying you're wrong to want Ten Hag out. I'm not saying people are wrong to want him out. But it's just like, what do we do? If we do get rid of him, what do we do? Because it's just going to continue on.
Well, let me just read out some comments and then we can talk about Bruno Fernandes. Chivy, this system clearly does not bring the best out of our players, exposes all of our players' weaknesses. If we carry on this way, we'll ruin some of the youngsters like Kobe. Bring on UFC 300, cannot be asked. I second that.
I agree.
We could win the Conference League, though, maybe, says Harry David.
It's the football then.
Yeah, I suppose. Ten Hag is a deluded fellow. What the fuck is he saying? Says it's Sam. Potter could be a good shout. He came into a crazy situation at Chelsea and they're still bad without him. I wonder how many seasons it would take a Sir Alex team to concede that many. Oh God, Jose Mourinho watching this is turning in his grave. Even in his worst state, he's turning in his grave. He's not dead, but you know what I'm saying. It's Sam said, I've seen enough. Bring Nagelsmann in. If they're really sporting people, they know who to get rid of and make it easier for the new manager coming in. Dave's in the chat, big up to Dave, saying, think he stays until the end of the season and they'd let him go then. Whoever we want is very likely in a job. I do think the higher-ups have been doing this in the background. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Ineos have definitely got a contingency plan, at least. Henry's saying we're now down to 7th and could go down to 8th if West Ham win. Is it realistic that we don't qualify for any European football? At this point, I just think we need a full fucking reset. I really, really do. And the only thing is, we've said this after like so many fucking seasons. Every manager in the past 4 or 5 managers is like, yeah, we go again. Let's do this again. Let's, we get new players in and we'll do this. It's like,
I'd prefer no European football, to be honest with you. Let's finish 10th.
I don't think Ineos would financially.
I
think they'd be
like,
oh,
I would.
fucked,
Like,
mate.
let's just be fucking. I can't be arsed with it. Like, I'm not playing Kazakhstani and Azerbaijani FC. I'm not doing it. Like, it's just fucking.
Mate,
Do you imagine us trying to get graphics and trying to fucking scout these teams?
Pixelated
Like, how the
players.
fuck are we gonna scout like Kazakhstani FC?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean?
Forget about winning the Premier League or forget about winning the Champions League. How are we gonna get fucking images for our previews and stuff? That's more to the
You get
point.
you get them in their day job when they're fucking plumbers.
Take a
Selfie with it.
taking a
take
photo.
picture.
It's like he's changing a tire. He's changing a tire. Like,
Yeah, quick, get him. Oh god, and then just Photoshop it. Oh Jesus Christ.
If you don't laugh, you cry.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Just a little positive note. Bruno Fernandes, I thought, who I've criticised Adam so many times this season just because he's frustrated the life out of me. But I've got a couple of stats on him here, and then I'll ask you about his performance.
oh, his mic's died.
For some reason, I muted myself. I just praised himself for the stats. So, game by numbers versus Bournemouth: 94 touches, 26 out of 38 final third passes completed. I don't know what that says. 5 out of 6 ground duels won, 2 out of 3 tackles, 2 goals. A captain's performance. Bruno Fernandes completed more final third passes, 26, took more shots and scored more goals against Bournemouth than any other United player on the pitch. What do you think about him today? And also, as well, just put it out there, if he wasn't on the pitch, we definitely would have lost that game. Wouldn't we?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's at least somebody showed up today. You can say that at least. And he put in a bit of a captain's performance, pulled us from defeat because it would have been, as he said, clear and obvious defeat. We've had 2 shots on target, and one was the penalty that he took, and the other was he shot on target, which he put into the roof of the net, and that says everything. Once he's in them positions, he is quite clinical, and it's good to see him back on the score sheet as well because he hasn't been on it as much. I think 9 goals, 12, or is it 12 goals, 9 assists, or something like that this season for him? Something like that. And we've seen numbers when they've been in the 20s and that. So obviously there has been a bit of a, I suppose, I won't call it regress because he has been still that creative outlet. But he's the only spark, really, today. He was. Everyone else, other than, I suppose, the academy graduates, I thought Diallo came on, played well. But Bruno today, without him, I don't know where he'd be. He'd be shouting, as you said earlier today as well, he was shouting to Onana about going long, going short. Mm-hmm. But it's good that he's actually having them vocal conversations that we can actually see as well.
No one else fucking is.
Yeah,
everyone else is confused.
Exactly.
As fuck.
Everybody else is confused, but he seems to be trying to grab the game by the scruff of the neck, kind of address the issues that he actually sees. But then I think there was a bit of a bicker between him and Ten Hag as well.
Yeah,
so that's what I mean. Think that will happen.
There seems to be pushback from every player. That's why I'm like the coaching's all over the place because like the players are arguing amongst themselves, the coaches are arguing with the player. No one knows what they're doing, so there's push and pull from either side. And Bruno, as kind of petulant as he can be, he does give a shit and he does put in the legwork and he does.
That's the two sides, isn't it? That's the two sides.
It is.
Of Bruno.
It's hard. Yeah, it's one of them. Sorry, I've just seen a comment. Right, this is the best.
I'm about to read this out. If it's the same one.
Is it Jamie Redknapp?
Yeah.
On Casemiro.
You say it.
It looks like he's in Soccer Aid.
I've just seen it on Twitter. I was like, right, when I get to speak, I'm reading that out.
That is so good. That is so good. That is spot on.
Yeah.
That is spot on. Yeah. I don't usually praise Jamie Redknapp, but that is so accurate. Oh God, this is where we're at, lads.
Have you seen that? Garnacho put an Instagram story with a shocked face emoji and a picture of him, but he's now deleted it, which is interesting.
Okay, no. He's probably happy that it was taken off, but let's be honest, he did fuck all in that first
the guy's
half.
Knackered.
He looked absolutely, he's knackered.
He's played 33 games in a row, I think. He started 33. Like the dude's knackered, absolutely fucking knackered. I've just seen Owen Hargreaves as well say if it wasn't for Bruno Fernandes, God knows where United would be, because he's basically
it's an interesting
holding
one.
the team together.
It's going to make pros and cons interesting. I think I'm going to walk around Old Trafford tomorrow and do a bit of a vlog around there and discuss more with a clear head, I suppose, because I'm a fucking fuming at the minute after that performance.
To be fair, Nick, you'll probably be covering more ground than some of the players around Old Trafford.
Yeah, another great analysis. Yeah, I'm tired. I'm not gonna kind of get over emotional about
Good
it.
news. Good news, lads. Good news, lads. Harry Maguire apparently played with an injury. Fantastic. Not a defender. Injured.
Camboalo, and obviously Anthony injured before the game as well. Like with everything, the coaching, everything just going to shit in it. Like towards the end of the season, it's like the whole thing is just crumbling piece by piece, and it's just going to be Bruno left at the end of it with his armband on, just like fuck me.
Do you know when you see like a car in like a third world nation and it's just like hanging on like by pieces? It's like elastic bands keeping the fucking engine together. That's what United are at the minute. It's just fucking holding together. It's like, when is this just gonna absolutely implode and crash into a tree? Because it's on its way. It's fucking on its way, because it's just absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah, it's I think this summer's going to be interesting. Anyway, let's just leave it at that. I personally I'd let him go now. I think the Fulham one was a big one for me, but I'm not seeing any progression. I'm not seeing any improvement. I'm not seeing any. It's great that we fight back from games and you can come back in. That's fantastic. But you
shouldn't have to.
You shouldn't be in that fucking position in the first place. So why? That's irrelevant to me.
Not against fucking Brentford, Bournemouth, and Luton, for fuck's sake. Like, no offence to those teams and fans of those teams. I'm sure it's great to support them, but for fuck's sake, lads, come on. Like, fighting back against City, cool, I'm down with that. Fighting back against Liverpool, absolutely, I'm down with that. You're fighting to kill off Chelsea, who are worse than us this season, and you're fighting to kill off Luton, Brentford, Fulham, and Bournemouth. Like, come on, lads. Like, this is ridiculous.
Adam, we've got Coventry, Sheffield, Burnley, Palace, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Brighton as our last games of the season before we head into what's shaped up to be a bit of a mad summer. Thoughts on them games? Thoughts on the FA Cup? Just talk to me a little bit about that.
That's the only bright spark, that it's Coventry, but as we pointed out earlier too, Coventry will probably beat us at this point.
Yeah.
Like, we still can have a little bit of success this season. Like, there is something to fight for, as crazy as it sounds. I don't know how we've gotten to that point as well, given the season we've had. I think we just focus there. If we win the FA Cup, do we qualify for the Europa League?
We're not winning it, so it doesn't matter, does it?
No.
I don't even want to be in it.
No.
I don't even want to be in it. Imagine just getting knocked out, like playing that football in European football. Yeah.
What was that team? The Cypriot team, where the goalkeeper hadn't played for 2 years.
Begins with an O.
He was a United fan. He hadn't played for 2 years, and he had the fucking game of his life. And it took like a Ronaldo. Was it a Ronaldo penalty to beat him? Imagine we play that.
McTominay, I think.
Imagine that we get knocked out at the Europa League. In the chat, Ammonia, Ammonia FC.
Ammonia.
Imagine we could play that and we get knocked out by Ammonia FC in the Europa League. Like, for fuck's sake, like, it's just embarrassing.
Adam, the Coventry game. Are you nervous about
Of course.
that? I mean, you got to be honest, innit? Like, I don't think there's United fans going into that game, is they thinking we're going to smash Coventry? That'll be a tough game.
Yeah. I remember when we drew them, we were over the moon. We were like, oh, here we go, road to the final. And now we're kind of biting our nails now. This might be a bit more difficult than we actually thought. I don't even know if we have a starting centre-half partnership at this point, given the Maguire news as well. So who knows what we're going into that. I'm not even going to take that game for granted. The game they're looking at it, Arsenal, they're coming to Old Trafford. I'm worried about a humiliation, honestly, as bad as that sounds. At this point, it could be nearly a reverse of the 8-2.
They could win the league at Old Trafford, theoretically. Yeah. That's depressing.
Mm-hmm. Will probably happen if that's the case.
And they've done that before. They have as well. Yeah. And I'm sure they'll be using that as motivation as well going into it. I suppose, as bad as it sounds, I think they're probably the best of worst case scenario if they did win the league. But look, going into these games, what can we take from it? Hopefully, get to a final. We can have a day out. Once the season's finished,
get beat by City in the final.
It looks like someone's taking fucking Casemiro for a day out in that midfield.
Oh God. I don't know what the date is yet. I know it's after the last game of the season, so we have again that day. At least there's content we can make that day. That's the only kind of positive, I think, as bad as it sounds.
Can't wait to get whooped by fucking City at Wembley.
I'm even looking at Sheffield, Burnley, Palace, all not given games because Burnley fighting for their lives.
We didn't. When we played Burnley, we barely beat them. We only beat them because of a Bruno Fernandes. Is it Johnny Evans? I thought it was Bruno.
No, they played the ball to Bruno.
Yeah. That's the only reason we beat Burnley at their ground. So fuck it, do you know what I mean?
What a mess! What an absolute mess. Yeah, look, there's no way to sum that up. It was just a piece of shit. I think we can leave it at that. Thank you for tuning in. Please do leave a like on the video if you also thought that was a bag of shit. Let us know your thoughts about the manager, if you would keep him or if you would let him go. Thoughts about the summer as well, and keep an eye out for pros and cons. Tomorrow I'm going to do a walk around Old Trafford discussing the game and stuff. So probably be dropping late Sunday night, latest Monday morning potentially. So yeah, please do come and check that out. Check out the new show I did earlier on today about Greenwood, Martial, and a few others. And check us out on social media. TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. Anything else, lads, you wanna leave in the YouTube world before we go?
It's just shit watching football, innit? But let's go enjoy UFC 300 because at least that'll be entertaining.
Yeah. Well, it's on quite late in it, to be fair, so I'm gonna try and stay up for it. But it is what it is. Adam, anything fun planned for the weekend? You wanna end the show with rather than negative bullshit?
Just have a drink tonight, try and forget it, put your feet up,
Any cocktails?
It never happened. Oh yeah, I have one lined up, I do. It's called a Blue Skyline.
A Blue Skyline?
Pineapple, yeah. Oh. As bad as that sounds, I know.
I was about to say that,
yeah, but it's Malibu, pineapple juice, and what else was in it? There was one other thing, I forget, but that's what I'll be having now. I'm going to make it.
What makes it blue?
Blue curacao. That was the last one, actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So have a cocktail, have a drink tonight. Hopefully we can forget.
If Eric Ten Hag's style of play was a cocktail, it'd be a top shelf. It'd be a fucking mess. Absolute mess. So, anyway, we'll leave it at that. Take care, people. Try and enjoy your weekend. I know it's hard because we just watched that crock of shit. But, yeah, hopefully UFC is decent tonight and you have a chilled Sunday. We'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, everyone. See you in a bit.
Peace.